So this is basically how they have how they have and how they have structured their new APM paper. Right? So this part is, I mean, you can see it as an opportunity that now you can score more without having the technical knowledge. You can score more. This is actually this is not a problem for those who have their first language as an English. For them, it's not a big problem. But for those who have uh, English as a second language, they are actually facing the problem, and probably that is the reason why examiner is now concerned regarding this. Okay, professional marks. There are four areas which examiner is actually expecting students to answer. The first one is communication. Communication is something which we already were doing in previously APM paper, especially in the first question. In the first question, examiner actually ask us to write a report. And for writing a report, what we do is we write to, from, date, subject, introduction, then first heading, then second heading, then third heading. So that's how we have to communicate, not just in the first question, but also in second and third question. You have to put proper headings and subheadings and paragraphing. That is important, right? That's important now. Initially, that was not so important in section B, but now I will show you how we are going to do that. I will show you in this video. And then the second part is analysis and evaluation. This is also something which we have already done in P5 in previous paper. Evaluation is something, I mean, examiner uh, very frequently asks students to evaluate something, right? And we know that evaluation means that you have to analyze the scenario first. You have to see the scenario, analyze the scenario, see what company is doing correctly, see what the company is not doing right, company is doing wrong, in fact, and try to, put both things in your answer that, look, this is something which is doing properly by the company is doing this good, this is not done properly by the company. So apart from, I mean, for example, just say, for example, in performance measurement part, if company is measuring market share and the objective of company is to become the market leader, then that is something which company is doing correctly, right? But if company is not doing that, if company is not using market share, and if company is using just economic value added, then we can recommend that, look, economic value added will give you a longer term performance perspective, but that is not the problem of company right now. The problem of company is to become the market leader, and for that, market share is required. So that's basically something which we were already doing in past papers. So this is not a new thing, right? The new thing is the last two areas: skepticism and professional acumen. Skepticism, this is also something which we used to do, but I mean, this is something that if you are reading something, if you are reading a scenario and you are seeing that managers are doing something which is not in the best interest of company, then you have to raise that issue. Or for example, if you are reading a scenario and you are seeing that company is trying to change its policy, right? For example, company is now using return on capital employed as a performance measure rather than revenues, and nothing about given in the question, then it's your responsibility to advise the company, to tell the company that, look, revenue, okay, fine, there should be a rationale behind it, that revenue has these issues and return on capital employed has these positive side. So if company is switching towards that, then this can be the possibility that this is the reason why company is switching. Or for example, if you are reading a scenario and company wants to introduce something new, and advantages and disadvantages are not given in the question, missing something, then you have to put those things in the question. Or if you are saying an ethical dilemma in a question, or something which is going, a company is doing illegally or company is not doing ethically. For example, you have seen for example, there is a scenario where company is manufacturing medicines and the company is operating a capitalist approach, then you can then you can identify there that although that was not the part of requirement, but this is a major medicine which is required by many patients, and if you are selling it at a high price, this is not an ethical thing to do. So plus or minus whatever it is, whatever there is, you have to write it. So there can be something which is not given in the question, which is not present in the scenario, but you have to think and you have to bring those points, those relevant point in the question, which are not given in the scenario. For example, if a company is, we will do this type of question in the coming part. If the company is saying that, look, we want to import raw material because imported raw material will give us a good quality, then considering the current scenario, we can advise the company that, okay, fine, if you are importing a material, it will give you a quality, it will boost your quality, but the current prevailing situation is not allowing us to do so because of the political situation, because of the market situation, because of the fuel hike in fuel prices. It will not be advisable for the company because of uncertainty import raw material just to improve the quality. Company can figure out some other ways to do the same thing. So this is not given in the scenario, but you know something and you can bring it in the scenario. So if you feel that something is missing in the scenario and you think that this is a relevant point and this is going to add value to the company, then you should add it. You should be able to identify if something is missing in the question, and that information you require for performance analysis purposes or for advising company. If you need some information, you should ask for that. You should question why the company. So these are something which we used to do, but that was not a regular practice. So in examination, if you see the examiner suggested answer, you will find these things in examiner answers, but examiner will not give you marks for that properly because that this part is not done properly by the students because students have no idea that they have to do this. Now examiner is saying that, look, whatever you think is relevant and not given in the question, you have to include it. If there is an ethical issue, you have to include it. If manager is doing something and manager is doing something forcefully for his or her personal benefit, you have to question that. So that point, that thing, that if you are seeing something, if you are sensing something, and you think that this can add value, you should write it. That's basically what the skepticism concept is. Is this clear?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Professional acumen is something, see, this is something which examiner has introduced because of some illogical suggestions given by the students. Because some students used to give some suggestions. Let me give you an example. A company should shift its factory from company should shift its factory to somewhere where it can have lower cost. So shifting of factory is not a very simple decision. There should be some logic behind it. I mean, we can advise the company to outsource it, or you can ask some external supplier to supply you the same thing if we are unable to produce it at lower cost. So that is possible. That is practically possible. But advising something to the company which is commercially not viable, which company cannot do commercially, which is, which you cannot justify. I mean, you are giving some suggestions which are good on papers, but practically you cannot do that. So that suggestion is completely useless for any company. So if you are a professional and you are supposed to advise the company, then you must give some proper advice, something which can be done by the company. For example, if I'm saying that, look, company is manufacturing a pen. This is an example which I've already given in my lectures. I'm just repeating. For example, if in Pakistan, okay, fine, not in Pakistan, just take general example. You are manufacturing a pen, right? And for the manufacturing of pen, you are using a cap, and that cap is something which is not a standard cap. Rest of the pen, you are using a same standard cap or a same standard cap. But for this pen, you are not using that. So we can say that, okay, fine, why you are doing this? Because pen, the efficiency of pen is how it is writing. Pen, cap of pen is not something which is going to uh, fulfill the requirement of the customer. So don't do that. Try to standardize it. It makes sense because that is something which company can easily do. But giving some unnecessary solution is not welcomed by examiner now, because this is something which you have to make sure while writing the answer. And if you're writing some illogical solutions, you will not be able to get these marks. I mean, professional acumen marks, you will not be able to get it. If you are missing those points which examiner has kept in the question and examiner wants you to identify those problems, then and you are not doing that, that means you are losing marks for skepticism. If you are writing your paper, if you're unable to communicate it properly, you are just writing the answer and you are just playing treasure hunt with the examiner that, okay, fine, find whatever you want to find. I have just written my answer. That's where you will lose your marks in terms of communication. If you are not justifying your answer, if you are not properly if you are not properly balancing your answer, then you will lose your marks in terms of evaluation. So all professional requirements are not given. Examiner will not ask all four in all questions, but examiner will write that, look, in this question you have to, professional marks will depend on skepticism and professional acumen. So you know that these two factors you have to include it in the solution. Or for example, it says that professional marks are based on analysis, evaluation, and professional acumen. So you know that skepticism is not there. You are not supposed to do that. Or expressively, you are not supposed to. So that's basically how the APM paper the question examiner will ask. Right? So so this is basically the explanation of what I've told you. This is basically the communication part, that how examiner want us to communicate, and this is something which we are used to avoid. So it's not that thing which is a new part in APM paper. So
quick question, would you save the presentation somewhere on the Google Drive?
yeah, I will give it to you. I will share it on WhatsApp.